जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशी श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लील प्रविष्ट ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशी श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस शीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समावेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpacharubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं ते श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Okay, can everyone hear me okay clearly? Thank you. Yeah. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 16th chapter, text 25. Second, let's pull up the verse. Second. Yam vinayordamam adhish bhavan vidhate vittim nuvatad hanumanmahi nirvyalikam asma shuvaya uchito driyatam sadando ye nagasau vayam ayungsmahi ilbishena yam vanayordamam abhisha bhavan vidyate vrittim na nuvatad अनुस अनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् भस्मासु वायु वा वा य उचितो प्रियतां सदण्डो ये अनगसौ वयम् अयुङ्क्ष्महि किल्बिषेण। Last time. यं वानयोर्दमन् अभिष भवान् विद्यते वृत्तिं नुवा तद् अनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्माशु वाय उचितो प्रियतां सदण्डो ये अनगसो वयम् Ayungshmahikil Bishena. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to the innocent, to these two, sorry, my question, yeah. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without publicity. One second. Thanks. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. Without duplicity, we understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The sages, the four Kumaras, now reject their cursing of the two doorkeepers, Jay and Vijay, because they are now conscious that persons who engage in the service of the Lord cannot be at fault at any stage. It is said that anyone who has implicit faith in the service of the Lord, or who actually engages in transcendental loving service, has all the good qualities of the demigods. Therefore, a devotee cannot be at fault. If sometimes it is found that he is in error by accident or by some temporary arrangement, that should not be taken very seriously. Cursing of Jay and Vijay is here repented. Vision comes and goes, okay, is here repented. Now the Kumaras are thinking in terms of their position in the modes of passion and ignorance, and they are prepared to accept any kind of punishment from the Lord. The amazing purport. In general, when dealing with devotees, we should not try to find faults. In Bhagavad Gita also it is said, it is confirmed that the devotees who faithfully serve the Supreme Lord, even if found to commit a gross mistake, should be considered a sadhu or saintly person. Due to former habits, he may commit some wrong, but because he's engaged in the service of the Lord, that wrong should not be taken very seriously. One more time. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall have duplicity. We understand we have cursed two faultless persons. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances and please pray for me to speak about this verse appropriately. So this is a very, very enigmatic section, Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is close to ending. This chapter begins when the Lord leaves his quarters and then he comes out. And he says earlier that the four Kumaras, they have justly, punished the two doorkeepers. So the Lord, and then the Lord acknowledges the mistake of his servants and he approves curse of the Kumaras. And the Lord beseeches the four Kumaras as if he cannot reverse the curse. The Lord beseeches the four Kumaras that please be kind upon these two doorkeepers. Let them not be separated from me for too long. let them return very soon to me. So the Lord speaks first, and then the four Kumaras, they begin to speak. They glorify the Lord. And then this is almost the end of the four Kumaras speaking. This is the last verse, actually. And then the Lord again begins to speak. So the translation itself, I mean, this whole pastime is very, very enigmatic. The translation of this verse itself is enigmatic. They say, "O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons." So in this translation, two places, they are saying, the four Kumaras are saying this, that these two, Jay and Vijay, they are innocent, they are faultless, but then they say, but my Lord, if you want to punish these two innocent persons, why would the Lord want to punish two innocent persons? So again, this is the four Kumaras are speaking. So also in part, because when the Lord came out of his quarters, the first thing that he said is, what you have done, you have rightly punished these two doorkeepers because of their ignoring me. And when the Lord speaks all that, the four Kumaras are saying, we are not able to understand you. Yeah, like Arjuna sometimes says in Bhagavad Gita, my dear Lord, you are speaking equivocally. You're not speaking unequivocally. We're not able to understand what you're saying. So similarly, the Lord is speaking that their cursing is just and all that. So anyway, so the four Kumaras, they are bewildered. And there is one beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneya na Bhujiha. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneya na Bhujiha. Meaning the activities, Kriya and Mudra, the activities and mudras literally mean their dealings. Kriya Mudra Vigneya na Bhujiha. It is very, very difficult to understand the activities and the pastimes of the devotees, and what to speak of the devotees, even the Supreme Lord, obviously. It's very, very difficult to understand devotees and mudras. So whenever we, why the reason I'm saying all this is whenever we are reading this section, when there are certain core principles that we have to have before we get into this section. One is this one, Janma karma chame divyam evam yaveti tatpatah. Similarly, Vaishnavira kriya mudra vigneya na bhujiha. Why the four Kumaras did what they did, the doorkeepers did what they did, is not so obvious. But the Lord, in the subsequent verses, as it will come tomorrow, day after, He will reveal. So, yeah, so that's another principle. Another principle is this whole mentality that we live in, right and wrong, good and bad. Yes, so let us hold our judgments and let things come to pass so that we can actually see things more completely as they are, not just what's happening right now and what's under our nose. Yeah. So this other thing is also at play. And then as Srila Prabhupada is writing here in the purports, that the Vaishnavas are faultless, the pure devotees, the devotees are faultless. And if any apparent fault, any apparent mistake that they commit, it is mentioned that it is temporary. What is the word actually? Temporary or some arrangement. Yeah, by accident or by some temporary arrangement. Yeah. So a pastime that comes to mind is first canto, 18th chapter. Maharaj Parikshit is gone hunting, and somehow he becomes thirsty. And he becomes thirsty, and he comes into the hermit sage as a bhajan kutir of a sage, Shamika Rishi. He comes into that area, and the sage is in deep meditation. And here Maharaj Parikshit, by accident or by temporary arrangement, in this case the arrangement of Yoga Maya, somehow he interprets. So this is, I'm going to speak a little bit about this. There are many things that I want to speak about, but time is limited. But he interprets. So there is an observation. So Maharaj Parikshit is observing. So this is the science of epistemology, epistemics, how we make meaning of things, how do we understand things. So there is something that is happening in front of our eyes. On the observation platform, what's happening? Parikshit Maharaj has come, he is thirsty, the sage is deep in meditation, and he doesn't actually realize that Parikshit Maharaj is there. But then Parikshit, so this is happening at the silent level or the observational level, factual level. But then Maharaj Parikshit, he interprets, at least the Bhagavatam says that Maharaj Parikshit is thinking, oh, the sage is feigning meditation. He's a Brahmana, I'm a Kshatriya, so he doesn't want to associate with me, or he thinks I'm lower, so he doesn't have to offer respects or do the needful. So all this is interpretation. And then then there is interpretation, and then there is usually a judgment, and then we conclude something. Yeah, observational level, then describe. He's describing what's happening. He's describing to himself, he's describing to others that this is what's happening. So abstraction, something happens, and then the first layer of abstraction is description. So when we are beginning to describe certain things, it's already not the full experience we have. There's an abstraction. And then from that abstraction further, then we interpret further the second layer of abstraction. And then from the interpretation is a judgment. And then we make a conclusion, generalization. This is what, of course, all this is happening just like that, very fast. It happens to us all the time. So from this past time, we can learn many things. So anyway, so Maharaj Parikshit did that, but then immediately as soon as he did that, he realized, oh, I made a mistake. And then when the sage comes out of trance, like Prabhupada is talking about this, that even if a Vaishnava does something by accident or by some temporary arrangement, is not to be taken very seriously. So Shamika Rishi, he gets out of his trance and he sees a snake. He says, oh, a dead snake around my shoulder, around my neck. He just throws it. He's not concerned about it. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, if something is done by a devotee by accident or by some temporary arrangement, we should not take it very seriously. And this is also connected to the first offense against the holy name. to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. So Shamika Rishi didn't think about it too much, and then he found out that his son had cursed Maharaj Parikshit. And so again, then Shamika Rishi, like here, the Lord is asking forgiveness from the four Kumaras that his servants did not act properly. Shamika Rishi is praying to the Lord uh, that his son, so he didn't find fault with Maharaj Parikshit, but he saw that this young boy, 5-year-old boy, he had committed a mistake. And of course, and then another point, important point that I also want to bring up here is there are different levels of seeing, different levels. Yes, there is on one realm, there is obviously right and wrong, good and bad, and lessons to be learned. But on another level, there is another level also, which is happy, which the Lord has ordained, which is beyond right and wrong. So somehow this young boy, Shringi, in a way he becomes an instrument. Maharaj Parikshit's passing away, Srimad Bhagavatam coming into being, like as we heard in Gitanagari, when Krishna disappears, Srimad Bhagavatam appears so that the people of the age of Kali can take shelter of Bhagavatam. So one of the signs of intelligence is to be able to hold, opposing viewpoints at the same time. Yes, there is right and wrong. I'm not saying that there's no right and wrong. There's right and wrong, lessons to be learned. And then there is also this other realm. Yeah. Another important point is, of course, Srila Prabhupada has taught us that the conditioned soul, he has 4 defects. He has imperfect senses, he commits mistakes, he is prone to illusion, and he cheats. He has a cheating propensity. But Srila Prabhupada has also taught us that pure devotees, they are beyond the modes of material nature. Sometimes they may do certain things under the influence of Yoga Maya, but it is not the same as being done under the influence of the modes of material nature. So here, this is very enigmatic. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the four Kumaras, they realize that they were under the influence of passion and ignorance when they cursed the 2 doorkeepers. So again, that influence would be temporary. Could be by the Lord's arrangement. But as Srila Prabhupada is saying, but typically they are not, if for some pastime of the Lord may engage his own in such a way, which the Lord explains later on in the coming verses. It actually is punishment. It seems that you punished the Lord, you punished the 4 doorkeepers, but actually this punishment was ordained by me. Okay, so why was the punishment ordained by the Lord? So when we understand that, the rasa aspect, Lakshmi Devi, and so on and so forth, that will all come. So I don't want to steal somebody else's thunder. Like that. Yeah. So anyway, this is a very, very, very enigmatic section. And one thing that we can take away from this whole section is that the devotees of the Lord, like Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, 1 through 3, Krishna is discussing the divine qualities. And one of the divine qualities that he talks about, 26 divine qualities that Krishna talks about, is that the devotee is a paishunam. A paishunam means aversion, fault finding, or adoshadarshi. A devotee is adoshadarshi. Yeah. So this is what we can learn. we can take away from this pastime to be very, very careful to avoid this fault-finding tendency and see things as Krishna sees. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:30 and 31, which is also quoted here, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadur eva samantavyah samyag vyavasito sah. And then the next verse is Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvam shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratichanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So there Srila Prabhupada explains, and even in this book, Prabhupada is explaining that because a devotee is engaged constantly in the service of the Lord, he is to be considered a sadhu, a saintly person. And of course, this term devotee, that's another topic. This term devotee, I mean, it can be loosely used, it can be stringently used. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the first conversation with Satyaraj Khan and the residents of Kulinagram, when they asked who is a devotee, Mahaprabhu said, even once who has chanted the holy name is a devotee. And then, of course, he further clarified over the years. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada also many times, sometimes if devotees would come to him and complain that this devotee is doing this, that devotee is doing this, like that. Prabhupada would say, which devotee? There's only one devotee in ISKCON, that's me. So we are, of course, Vaishnava Praya. We are trying to be Vaishnavas. But in either case, I mean, it's, better to err on the side of caution, essentially. We cannot hook up people to, a bhakti meter or a devotional meter and see, how much are they, fully pure or not yet pure, etc., etc. Better to err on the side of caution and to just practice, do not find fault. Yeah, because of tendencies, the natural tendency is to find fault, look for faults, but to practice it, to not find faults. Yeah, and the beautiful thing is these two verses of Bhagavad Gita 9:30, 9:31. So there are two meanings to this verse. Apiche sudarachara bhajate mam ananya bhak sadur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha kshipram bhavati dharmatma. So what seems to be the obvious meaning is that even if somehow the sadhu who is ananya bhak, who is forever engaged in devotional service, continuously engaged in devotional service, somehow if he commits a mistake, apiche suduracharo means durachar, suduracharo, extremely abominable, but he is to be considered a saintly person. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma, because he's to be considered a saintly person because he's engaged in devotional service, he will become corrected on the strength of devotional service. He will become corrected. So it's a self-correcting devotional service. So Krishna is saying he will be rightly situated. He is already rightly situated because he's engaged in devotional service. And if there is any discrepancy, Krishna will correct it. Devotional service will correct it. Kamte pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So this is the obvious meaning. Prabhupada also talks about like that in the purport. He talks about this devotee who somehow falls down, and because he's engaged in devotional service, he will be fully pure. Like his Prabhupada would say, he's taking the bath. He may not be fully pure yet, but since he's taking the bath, he'll become pure. But now our Acharya is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, amazing Acharya. He once described to his son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So here carefully about these two verses. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary and explanation. So he had a dream. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a dream once, and in his dream, somehow he was summoned to an ishtagoshti or a discussion on these two verses of Bhagavad Gita, where all the demigods, they're having a discussion on these two verses of Bhagavad Gita. And so there is they are having a discussion about, so that is that this to the sadhu who is apiche sudurachar vajati maunani bhag. So who is actually becoming rightfully situated? Sadhu is already rightly situated. So there is a debate, a dialogue about this. And there is a nuance also. There it says, Shantim Shashvat Nigachati. It seems that almost that, the prayojana of this devotional service is Shantim Shashvat Nigachati. So that's another second question they have. That who becomes rightfully situated? And why is it saying Shantim Shashvat Nigachati, or like Sarva Bhattacharya, Mukti Pade Sadhaya Bhag? Should it be something else? Instead of Shantim, should it be Bhaktim Bhaktim Shashvat Nigachati, that he becomes pure, situated. But either way, so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he comes into the assembly of the demigods, and he explains to the demigods that actually the who has fallen down, it's not the sadhu who has fallen down. It's the person who thinks that the sadhu has fallen down, he has fallen down. You follow? And so if that person who is thinking that the sadhu has fallen down, if he continues to engage in devotional service properly, then he will attain everlasting peace, because this fault finding tendency that he has, it burns, it robs our peace. Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that this so-called, this devotee who is finding fault with the other devotee, he is to be rightfully situated, he is to be corrected. And when he amends himself, then that means when he will become free of this fault-finding tendency, then he can engage in devotional service constantly, and he can become peaceful. He become free of that fault-finding tendency, so he can be peaceful and just focus on his own devotional service, and not, be bahirmukha, externally oriented, but internally oriented. And we'll end with this quote of Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says that a Vaishnava is not one who finds fault in others. Because a Vaishnava, by finding fault in others, he knows that that same fault that he finds in others is honeycombed in his own heart. So what he's seeing outside is a reflection of his own heart. And that's why in Act of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says that a Vaishnava doesn't see any faults in anyone, because his heart is free of faults. So Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, so he sees, I see fault because my heart is honeycombed with that fault that I see outside. So he makes his business fine to just clean his own heart. So anyway, so there are some more things can be said, but to just review quickly, some of the main points is Vaishnavira Kriya Mudra Vigneha Navajya. It is very, very difficult to understand, the activities and the pastimes of the Lord and the Vaishnavas. To hit the pause button, be careful, don't jump to conclusions. If you see something, try to, like Maharaj Parikshit, Kaler Dosha Nidhe Rajan Asti Hi Eko Mahatguna. We could focus on the black spot, or we could focus on, the white dhoti. So by habit, to give up the tendency of fault finding. And then the other thing that I also mentioned is, this whole science of epistemics, how we make meanings of things. So some things happen on the experiential level, something happens, then we begin to describe it. And then after we begin to describe it, then we go to interpretation. And then from interpretation, we go to judgment. And then from judgment, we go to conclusion. And all this happens in a flip of a second like that. So to just pause, if you see something, when faults in other, there's Siddhanta's quote, when faults in others delude you, introspect, find fault with yourself. No one can hurt you unless you hurt yourself. This is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvati Thakur's quote. Anyway, so this whole pastime is very, very enigmatic. And the Lord will reveal, some of the enigma tomorrow, day after, as we continue to read. So he has a purpose. Yeah, so he said this punishment was ordained by me. And okay, I was thinking about these things. Why would the Lord ordain the punishment? And all this for the Lord Shauri Rasa, so that he can have a good fight. And so much destruction, Hiranyakashipu, destroying Brahminical culture, so many things, and for Lord's play. Somebody may argue. Again, the Lord's activities are transcendental. Whatever he does is all good. So we hear from acharyas and try to understand these pastimes. Yeah. As Radhika Ramanto mentioned in Gitanagari, there is always a backstory. There is always an inside story, which sometimes we don't get. But by the blessings of the acharyas and the commentaries, we can gain insights. So hold our judgments, cause, so on and so forth. And then the last thing is this whole Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation of 930, 931 as to who needs actually to be rightfully situated, not the sadhu who's apparently fallen down, but the person who is thinking that the sadhu needs correction. He needs to become rightfully situated. So anyway, so we'll pause there. And if there is any comments or questions we can take, or we can end also. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, there is a comment by Yamuna Jivan Prabhu and the chat.
Yes. Can you please, I'm having a hard time reading. Can you please, go ahead.
To drop, allow the points brought up in the class, and especially the mode of approaching such a enigmatic pastimes with humility and curiosity. I have to drop. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you're saying that, I mean, this is very kind of complicated, difficult pastime to understand. Even the Kumaras were understanding. So I was also having that confusion so earlier. So I mean, of course, even the Kumaras also realized that the Jaya and Vijaya did not make any mistake, or they're not fault. So, but then they got cursed. So for their during their duty. So, but yeah, of course, the Lord has a plan and everything. So, thank you, Prabhu. Nice class.
It's quite amazing. Bhagavatam, yeah, uh, yeah. As Prabhupada mentioned, this is the best scripture to contemplate, which will to sharpen our intellect. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that on the pretext of being lazy, Siddhanta, we should not try to, delve into intricate pastimes. It's too complicated. So we should do due diligence and try to understand the Siddhanta properly, and tax our brains, hear from commentaries from our acharyas, ask questions. Yeah, and that, because otherwise the mind will anyway, the intellect will be engaged in something or the other, as you're saying. It's better to contemplate upon these pastimes with an open heart, with humility, with curiosity, as Ramanajivan mentioned. Achintya, we have to understand, we have to accept the Lord's Achintya principle first. The Lord is inconceivable. There is something that I am not understanding. Anyway, meaning we can take it for granted. The Lord cannot be wrong. The devotees cannot be wrong.
Yeah.
There's something I'm missing here. It's always a safe way to start. Yeah. And then praying to the Lord, as you're saying, and to reveal things to us. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you, Prabhu.
Krishna. Anything else? Gopal Hari Prabhu, would you like to say anything? Correct anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Add in?
Please accept my obeisances. This is Gopal Haridas.
Yes, Prabhu.
I just want to say that what you were saying was so nice about fault finding and the mind becoming agitated when we find faults. And actually, the person who's finding fault is the person who needs to be corrected and is the unfortunate one. And my Guru Maharaj also used to say that to his managers, actually, to his leaders, he would tell them that don't even see faults. If you see faults in devotees, then it will affect your bhakti. and the temple president of Delhi temple, he was actually relating this, that he's always tried to practice this and it really helps. But my question is that like sometimes we're on some like a board or something, and you know someone is mishandling money, and it's like, okay, there's this one situation came up some years back, and you know there's a problem there, and then I also heard His Holiness Romapad Swami in his lecture when he was here say that being humble is actually sometimes standing up and fighting. So sometimes we have to do these things, and they agitate our mind. That is the problem. So what is your recommendation? Because we're not supposed to find fault, but we have to, or we feel that we need to, or we need to stand up for someone, not even for ourselves, but someone else.
You know the answer.
Then how do we not find fault and not be agitated?
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful
I don't
question.
actually. That's why I'm asking.
No. Anyway, we all, at least we all know the answer, I think, but yeah, we may have a tough time practicing it because several things, as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, because he also mentioned in this question itself, something that may not be happening to us, but it's happening, in the congregation, like that. So Srila Prabhupada has taught us, right, that if something is happening towards us, it's kind of a minor offense. Like Shamika Rishi here, I mean, somebody put a snake on his, neck. He said, "Forget that. That's okay. That's all right." So anything that happens to us, we take it as a minor offense. But as you're saying, but if something is, a Vaishnava is offended, or something, as you're saying, is at stake, then yeah, we may have to take some steps. But again, there we have to check a few things, as you're saying. First and foremost is, where am I coming from? We should. I'm a servant of Krishna, so we should have that service mood towards that person. Firstly, and the second thing is also, of course, we should also check whether I have the authority. You follow? I mean, to say something to this person. Either I have. Third thing is whether I have a relationship to say something to this person. So service mode, check the service mode. Second, check if I have a relationship with this person. Third, check if I even have the authority to say something here, do something here. So if the first thing is first, second, three, those three things are there, then we could proceed carefully. But if only the first thing is there and the second and third are not there, then you might carefully, bring that to the attention of someone who we think has a relationship with that person, who may be able to get to that person better than we can. So this is not prajalpa or gossiping. It's not. So this is very done again. The service mode is the foundation. So genuinely, the concern is to try to uplift this person. So you're coming from a Suhrida platform. So we are coming from that platform. So we have to check that. What is my motivation here? Where is my service mode? Do I have a relationship here? Do I have the adhikar? And there may be more things also. Yeah. And as you're saying, oh, geez. And also immediately, am I seeing this fault because this fault is in me? maybe should I just mind my own business, like that. But yeah, so sometimes it may not be just staying silent and not speaking up, but it has to be done in a Vaishnava way, service mode properly. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Because this whole topic is quite, because Prabhupada would say, well, calling a
And
spade a
if the
spade is
mind
not
gets
possible.
agitated,
Say that again? Sorry, say that again.
And if the mind gets agitated, then what to do? Because that was one of the main things, that if the mind gets agitated, the mind. So in doing this, yes, is there, but still the mind gets agitated. So it affects your chanting in the morning, something. Then what to do?
Well, two things. The mind could get agitated. As you're saying, we if you don't say something, then also the mind could get agitated, right? As you're saying, I'm seeing something, I'm not saying anything, my mind is agitated. Or I see certain thing and I've said that to someone, and the mind is also agitated. So in both cases, what, especially in the second case, first case is take shelter of the Lord, that I'm seeing some fault here. Please help me, my Lord, in seeing the good qualities of this person. So with that same tongue, that same mind that we are engaged in looking at faults in that person, so try to find the good qualities in that person. So then the mind becomes more a little peaceful. And the second thing is, if we have taken a certain step and and then our mind is agitated, oh my God, I hope, I don't know whether it was the right thing to do. Then again, so we go to the Lord, we pray to the Lord, uh, asking for forgiveness if there was something that was inappropriate that we did, or even that Vaishnava. We may even go to that Vaishnava and ensure uh, that we didn't offend them, like that. Ask for their forgiveness. Like here, the four Kumaras, they are non-duplicitously, they are telling the Lord, the word Nirvilikam is there, that if you think that we should be punished, please punish us. So similarly, we could go to that Vaishnava and say, if you think that I have done something wrong, please punish me. So humility again. So humility will help that our mind. Yeah. So those are several things that could be said. With that same tongue, glorify that devotee. And yeah, and find and try to find good qualities. Yeah, there may be something that may need correction, but with that same tongue and mind, glorify that devotee. That will be helpful also. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.